Hey there and welcome. Today we're going to tackle something that trips up pretty much everyone at some point. Subject-Verb Agreement in English. It can seem a little tricky, I know, but trust me, by the end of this you're going to feel way more confident about it. All right, let's get into it. All right, let's kick things off with a little puzzle. Just look at this sentence. Why do we use are here and not is? If your brain is doing a little question mark right now, don't worry, you are in exactly the right place. This is the kind of tricky sentence we're going to totally figure out today. Okay, so before we jump into the really tricky stuff like that, we've got to nail down the foundation. This is the simple number one principle of all agreements. Let's just call it the golden rule. And here it is. It's actually pretty simple when you break it down. The subject and its verb have to be on the same team. If your subject is singular, meaning there's just one of it, then your verb has to be singular too. And if your subject is plural, more than one, well, you guessed it, the verb has to be plural. This right here, this is the core idea that everything else we talk about is going to build on. So check this out. You can see this rule in action perfectly. Right here on the left, we've got one dog. That's a singular subject. So the verb gets that S, barks. But on the right, we have multiple dogs, a plural subject. So the verb loses the S, bark. It's a really simple pattern, but it's so important. Okay, let's keep building. Okay, so what happens when you get more than one subject in a sentence? This is where things start to get a little more interesting, especially when those subjects are linked together by words like and, or nor. Think of the word and like a plus sign. Most of the time that's exactly what it's doing. It's adding things together. So here you've got Jane plus her husband. That equals two people. And because that's a plural subject, the verb has to be plural too. Have. But wait a minute. English just loves to throw a curveball, right? Take a look at these sentences. We've got and in both of them, but the verb is singular, is. So what gives? What's the secret pattern going on here? And here's the secret. In that first sentence, rice and omelet aren't two separate things. They're one single dish. And in the second one, the manager and owner isn't two different people, it's just one guy with two jobs. So the big takeaway here is that context is everything. If those two things connected by and really just form one single idea, you treat the whole thing as singular. All right, let's circle back and solve that puzzle from the very beginning. When you have subjects connected by or nor, I want you to use this super simple trick. I call it the closest neighbor rule. The verb doesn't care about the whole group. It only agrees with the subject that's sitting right next to it. So in neither Tim nor his friends, the closest neighbor to the verb is friends. Friends is plural, and that's why the verb has to be are. It's that easy. All right, let's talk about one of the most common traps people fall into. This happens when a bunch of extra words get jammed in between your subject and your verb. The whole trick is just knowing what words you can totally ignore. Okay, so when you first look at this, your eyes see her parents right next to the verb, and you immediately think, oh, that's plural, it should be are. But hold on, her parents isn't the real subject here. The phrase as well as her parents is just an interruption. It's noise. The real subject of the sentence is Lisa. And since Lisa is singular, the verb has to be singular, is. So this is the little mantra I want you to burn into your brain. Your only job is to find the true subject and connect it to its verb. You have to ignore all the noise in the middle. Just picture yourself drawing a line from the real subject, jumping right over all that noise and connecting straight to the verb. And here they are. These are some of the most common noise phrases you'll see. Think of this as your cheat sheet. Whenever you spot one of these phrases, a little alarm should go off in your head telling you, hey, wait! The real subject came before this. Okay, next up, we're going hunting for imposters. These are words that look and feel plural, but secretly they're singular. They're designed to trick you, but we're not going to let them. And here's a super simple way to remember this rule. Just think of the number 1. Words like everybody, someone, anything, each, neither. They might feel like they're talking about a group, but in the world of grammar, they are always treated as a single thing. They always equal 1. Let's look at some real examples. Everybody feels like a lot of people, but the verb is the singular is. Or look at each of the students. Yeah, you're talking about a bunch of students, but that little word each makes the whole subject singular, so we use is. I know it can feel a little weird at first, but once you get the hang of it, it'll just click and become second nature. And here's another group of these sneaky imposters, nouns that end with an S but are totally singular. You see this a lot with fields of study like mathematics or physics, or with words like news. They've got that S on the end, making them look plural, but they're really just one single concept. Okay, you've got the basics down. You've mastered the fundamentals. Now it's time to level up. We're getting into the pro-tier rules. Now these are the special cases that will make your English sound really sharp and precise. So when you see words that talk about parts of a whole, like fractions or phrases like a lot of, the rule gets a little twist. Here's the deal. The verb doesn't care about the fraction. It only cares about the noun that comes after of. So if that noun is plural, like boys, then your verb is plural. If that noun is a single, uncountable thing, like cheese or water, then your verb is singular. Okay, here's a really quick and easy one for you. Whenever an activity, a word ending in ing, is the subject of your sentence, it's always considered singular. The activity of studying is one singular idea. So the verb has to be singular. Is. Simple as that. This one. This rule trips up so many people. When you talk about measurements like time, money, or distance, you almost always treat them as a single amount, even if the number is big. Think about it. 2 weeks isn't being treated as 14 separate days here. It's being treated as a single block of time, a unit. So the verb is singular. And another super simple one to finish off our pro-level rules, the title of any single work, a book, a movie, a song, is always singular. Even though the title has a bunch of words, and some of them might even be plural, we're still just talking about one single book. So the verb is. If you walk away with just one single thing today, please let it be this. The whole point, the crucial goal, is to make sure your verb agrees with the true subject of the sentence, not just whatever word happens to be sitting next to it. That's the whole game. Okay, to wrap this all up, let's put your new skills to the test with one last puzzle. Take a look at these 2 sentences. One of them uses is, and the other one uses are. Based on that rule we just learned about quantities, can you tell which is which? And more importantly, can you explain why? Give it some thought.